Welcome to Unshackled, a podcast for ambitious strivers who know that our lives and our time here are precious. We overcome the habits that bind us and boldly go after our dreams. I'm your host, Becca, and I've overcome my addictions and reinvented myself more than once, and I know how to help you do the same. If you're ready to up your game by ridding yourself of useless addictions, if you're ready to unshackle yourself, then you've come to the right place. Let's get to it. Hello and welcome back. Feeling a little guilty. I took a couple days off. I actually heard from a couple of you, "Where's my podcast?" That is so sweet. That touches my heart that you're missing me. I did do every day in January and then the first 2 days of February. So that was 33 days in a row. So yeah, I took a couple days off and I missed you. So I'm back. You know, there are 120 odd episodes. So you've probably a couple that you've missed. You can always go back and find them. But listen, today I want to share something with you. But before I do, I had the weirdest thought just before I pushed the record button. It occurred to me, Becca, I said to myself, can you imagine if you'd have had a podcast when you were still drinking? And then I thought, can you imagine what that would be like, waking up and going, oh my God, what did I say on my podcast yesterday? I can only imagine the bizarro crap that would have come out of my mouth. And of course, in my inebriated state, I would have thought, I sound great. Yeah, that sounds good. Let's say that. I can only imagine. Of course, it never would have happened because I wouldn't have had the wherewithal to even start a podcast. And I definitely wouldn't have wanted to, because when I was drinking, I was an isolator. I would not have wanted to connect with you or know you or have anything to do with you. I wasn't on social media and I avoided all of that like the plague. Alcohol isolated me and I was actually very lonely, to be honest, although I never would have admitted it. So anyway, here we are and I'm sober. So I'm going to remember this. Yay. And today I want to share with you, you know, we talk a lot about affirmations, right? They're powerful. Most of us agree that affirmations are powerful. There is science behind affirmation. And when we repeat something over and over, it seeps down into the subconscious. Once something is into the subconscious, it can start expressing itself in our lives without massive effort on our part. And that's powerful. But we mustn't misunderstand and believe that affirmation is all we need. Yeah, you want to have an affirmation. You want to write it. You want to repeat it. You want to think about it. But it requires action as well. So if your affirmation is something like, you know, I'm healthy, or has something to do with losing weight or giving up alcohol or whatever it's about, you can't just repeat the affirmation and then sit there and hope that the results are going to drop in your lap. We got to take action. So we do the affirmation, whether we're journaling it, and I'm actually going to talk about that in a minute here. I've got a strategy to share with you. But we use it in whatever way we're using it. Then we get up off our butts or wherever we are, and we go and we get to work. And we say to ourselves, well, I'm affirming this thing that I want in my life. And so what action can I take today that will move me closer to that thing that I want? It doesn't have to be massive, as long as it's some small gesture that says to the subconscious, I'm not just saying I want this, I am moving towards it. I'm taking action to get it. It might be a small action. There isn't much I can do right now because it's a long way off, or whatever the circumstances. But we got to back it up with action. We have to say to the subconscious, look, I'm serious. I'm not just talking here. I mean this. I'm taking action. I can give you an example of this. This is me about 18 months ago. I want to start a business. I don't know anything about business. What do I know about business? I'm a college professor. I studied literature. I studied teaching. I studied education. I've been 20 years a college professor. I don't know anything about business. I also don't know anything about Well, any of this. I don't know how to podcast. I don't know how, as I said, I was avoiding social media. I was terrified of it because I was drinking all the time. I mean, I just knew nothing. And yet I knew. I knew that the way that my life had to go, the direction it had to move, was I had to find you, connect with you, and help you. At about 3.5 years sobriety, I knew. I don't know where it came from. I really don't, because it surprised me. It came out of left field. I didn't think of sharing. I didn't think of helping. I do know how to teach adults. I know how to help adults. I've been doing it for 20 years, but not in this capacity. And I came out of left field. It was like, it literally felt like a voice, an external voice that said, you need to share this. You're good at it. You can help people. You've learned a lot. You've been through a lot. You have a story. You have experience. You're loving. You're caring. All of these things that I was starting to believe about myself because I had done 3.5 years worth of work. Let me tell you, when I first got sober, none of those thoughts would have come because I didn't like myself and I didn't believe any of those things. But by that point, I was realizing that I was a worthwhile human regardless of my past. And it suddenly hit me, I can help. And I thought of the agony and the loneliness that I had suffered with, me and the bottle alone. And I thought to myself, there are people out there right now experiencing that. Right now, somebody is sitting out there alone in their room with a hangover or whatever, feeling despair and loneliness, and they need help. There are other ways they can get help, but my people are out there. I just knew that my people were out there. And so the thought wouldn't go away. And so I responded to it. But I'm telling you, I'm like, I don't know how to do it. You want me to do this, but I don't know how. The idea excites me, but how? And so I started on my learning journey. And I discovered, you know what I discovered? I discovered that it's hard, that to build a business, to find you, to reach out, to grow your trust, to bring you to me is going to be hard. It's going to take perseverance. It's going to take a lot of learning. It's going to take a lot of investing because training is not cheap. Neither is software. Neither is, all of it, right? And so don't forget, don't worry, I haven't forgotten. I'm talking about affirmations. I'm getting there. Stick with me. We're getting there. And so I started the journey, and it was so hard that along the way I wanted to give up. And that's when I realized I need to believe in myself more. I need an affirmation that says to my subconscious, I can do this. I can find them. I can be good at this as long as I don't give up. And so I built my affirmation. But I didn't just sit around saying, I want to grow a business. I want to find my people. I want to help them and sit there and wait for it to come and drop in my lap. No, I use the affirmation and I still use it today. It's changed, but I use affirmation every single day, every day. But then I get to work and I say, well, there isn't a whole lot I can do right now, but I could do this. I could post a reel. I could I could do this, or I could do that. And it's grown. I mean, it's all evolved, let's see, it was last March. The idea to start a podcast came up, and I thought, well, okay, scary, sounds pretty, how do you do that? I don't know how to do that. Like, how do you, and so I started the research. My point here, stay on point, is that affirmations are incredibly powerful, but they have to be backed up by action. We have to say to our subconscious mind, look, I'm not just talking here, I'm serious. And sometimes that means the smallest action, but every action is noticed by the subconscious. So if you want to give up drinking, the action would be what? Choosing that day not to drink. But that's just the beginning. You're going to want to do more. You're going to want, trust me when I tell you that as you get sober and the longer you're sober, you're going to want to do more. And so back up your affirmation with action. This is my message for you today. And one quick strategy about affirmation. One of the most powerful ways to get it going is, yes, we can repeat it mentally. We can repeat it out loud. If you're driving down the road by yourself, say it out loud or just say it mentally, but also pull out your journal and write it down several times. When you wake up in the morning, write it down several times before you go to sleep at night. And not only that, but write down below the affirmation, write down why you want it, why you're worthy of it. Write about it, visualize it, think it, dream it, want it. Convince yourself that it's what you want and you're going to have it. This takes persistence, it takes consistency, but it works as long as we don't give up. And this is what I have my people in my coaching program. This is what we do. I teach them this. I show them how to do it, and then we get going, and they persist, and they keep going, and we get results. As long as there's, one of the powerful things about having a community and having a coach is that it's easier to be persistent because it's hard to motivate ourselves. It's hard to get up and go, okay, I'm going to do this. Well, I don't feel like doing this. When you've got somebody on the other end who's rooting for you and knows you and is helping you, it's way more powerful. So, staying on topic, that is what I wanted to share with you today about affirmations. Remember, use them, but back them up with action to let your subconscious know you mean business. Sending you tons of love. Thanks for popping in today. Bye for now. Hey, thanks for popping in. Remember, unshackling happens one day, one moment, one choice at a time. Do me a favor, subscribe, share, and shoot me some feedback. Chat soon.